Right. So today we're gonna finish up what we have going on here. Done some I did some work off stream. I finished up this core mod signing issue. At least it should be good to go. Um all we need to do is add this bit, finish up this, do some work on the wiki, including this here. And then all we'll have left is baubles. And then we're done. So we're gonna see how far we can get with that. And yeah. But before I get going here, I just realized I left something. I will be right back. Alright, alright. Oops. You're here. Okay. So, let's see. Now, last time we tested a couple things. Everything seemed to be working correctly. It didn't run into any issues in particular. I also fixed the reason why it wouldn't work if I used the content tweaker loader. I was encountering a class definition not found error, which I resolved. So that's actually think about it, that's actually pretty good. Um, Mainly we got some wiki stuff, and there's this toggle for this here. Well, what I'll do, I'll get these Gradle tasks loading, and I'll also load up my, I guess, test profile in CurseForge or whatever, as usual. And I'll hop in that world. I'll just make sure everything is working. And then we'll do some documentation on the wiki. And yeah, we'll be pretty good. Whatever. Okay, Adam didn't want to open. You want to try that one again? There we go. Now it's working. This is for the scripts. Did I even write the wiki stuff anywhere? Probably not. Or at least I probably didn't save it because it's literally on the wiki. Okay, I have a couple things there, but that was when I was writing a couple examples. I mean, I guess I could still kind of throw this in this folder. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. Okay, so let's open this up. Open folder. Open this up here, open this up here, select this folder. Okie dokie. Good. Okay, so this is all good. Where's my CurseForge thing? There you are. You good now? Okay, we can load. Thank God. You gonna launch or you're gonna take forever? Hi, Schmizmitz, excuse me. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? My gosh, is this gonna load? Oh my gosh, the launcher is taking forever. That's unbelievable. Actually, it's not really unbelievable. Hello, Schmoozmeets. How you doing today? Finally, we can test this. Oh my gosh, we're getting places. It's gonna load up. It's loading. Finally. And the jar was signed. Yes, it didn't decide to unsign itself. I'll love to see it. Alright, so we've got our expected widecraft. And here we are. Okay, perfect. So everything seems to work. There's a couple other things actually I need to check. It absolutely has nothing to do with that null pointer. That null pointer was caused by a script. Oh yeah, it was caused by a script preventing you from having. Look, but it's not my fault if it doesn't work out perfectly. Oh, but I need to. I need to go back. Some of that stuff went through. Okay, so one thing I did need to check here is that these things worked correctly. Because I've got. Okay, but notice how it didn't get caught on fire. It'll take damage in the fire, but it won't get set on fire. Because I set them to have that creature type that made them immune to fire. Compared to something like Creeper, which obviously does catch on fire and walks through a bunch of stuff that it's not supposed to. But that's fine. Okay, so that's that creature type thing, which seems to work. And I think I also did the same thing for villagers, so... Yeah, I did. Clearly. Okay. That's good. So that works. I don't know, it feels like everything works, but I feel like I haven't fully tested everything, so I don't know. Probably did, though. Alright. Let's write the stuff for the wiki then. This is, oh wait, I need to rename this to modifiers.md so that it is a markdown file. Perfect. Okay. Now, let's bring this over here. And now we got this. So, I need to check how, it did it for Or I need to check to see how I like structured the wiki for some of the other articles because I want it to be very similar, especially when it comes to content tweaker stuff. So we'll probably look at the distribution builder. Yeah, okay. So this is the modifier builder. Okay, so it's a little system that lets you do that. Let me actually do this. Okay. So the modifier builder is a system that lets you create dynamic modifiers to alter distributions of items, mobs, and projectiles, alongside altering armor distributions, shield distributions, and mob resistances. The modifier builder is a hierarchy. That's not how you spell that word. Regardless of which one you use, you'll need to define what do I want to call this? It's not a context function. It's like an applicability function. If the modifier is applicable to a given item or mob. Yeah, sure. Actually, I'm curious why I'm still getting a null pointer exception on my craft on those scripts because it'd be a good example, but I want to know why. Oh, I am silly. But why do I get a null pointer on line 2? Event dot entity dot definition. All right, so that's just something else entirely. Let's get back to this here. I guess I could specify the Zen class. Probably. That's probably what I want to do. And that would be oops. Now let's see what we're working with here. Modifier builder. Okay. It's under mods.ddd.modifiers, plural. Gotcha. We want something like this. So now let's list what's possible here. Just start with that, I guess. So before we do that, we could actually put a table here with like type of modifier, and then Zen class used, and then static Zen method called. Make sense? You could do something like this. And then this will be links. This will be links to all the other pages. So you can go here and be like, okay, I want to create a modifier that like modifies item damage distribution. I need to call this static Zen method on this Zen class, and then this is the stuff I can do. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. That seems pretty good. So if I want to create type modifier, item damage distribution modifier, I need the how would this called? Let's go because I just want it to be exactly the same. Okay, I should do the whole thing. Send class users. This is gonna be mods.ddd. I need to put this in here. Mods.ddd modifiers dot item damage or item modifier builder, I believe. Item modifier builder. Yep, okay. Now this is gonna have to be. So here's the link to this. That's Craft Tweaker events. This is gonna be item modifier builder. That's cause that'll probably be the link. I hope. We'll double check it. I think I can do this for yeah, I can. Now the static thing on this is gonna be where are we? Item modifier builder. Yeah, okay. So that's that. Um create item damage modifier. That's what I was looking for. Oops. Uh, like this. There we go. That's what I need to do. Hey, hey. There we go. There we go. Item damage distribution modifier. You use this hyperlinks to the right page. Right now, this is going to 404 because the page doesn't exist. And that's what we call it. Create item damage modifier. Now we're going to do item armor distribution modifier. And then this is going to be mods dot ddd dot. It's going to be the same thing. We use the same thing. But we use, don't press escape. Create armor modifier. At least I think it's that. Create armor modifier. Yep. Each static Zen method requires a string as an argument. This is the modifier name. Much like the damage type builder, we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to copy this link. Names provided here. Must be unique. I think it's projectile ones. Yeah. Names provided here must be unique. Note that mob damage modifiers and projectile damage modifiers, let's capitalize that D, are registered in the same registry, so their names must be unique amongst each other. Other modifiers only need to have unique names amongst other modifiers, amongst other modifiers of the same type. That's a little okay. It works, I guess. So this is going to be item shield distribution modifier. And then everything else is basically the same. Oops. However, this is create shield. Now we have the mob damage modifier builder, the projectile modifier builder, and the resistances modifier builder. Uh, projectile modifier builder, okay. Okay, so we got that, and then this is gonna just be create. Okay, so we've got item damage distribution modifier, item armor distribution modifier, item shield distribution modifier, projectile damage distribution modifier, mob damage distribution modifier. Dot, what do we got here? Mob, it's literally just mob damage distribution modifier. Or mob damage modifier builder, okay. I think this is just resistances modifier builder, modifier builder. I think. Alright, yeah, resistances modifier builder. All right. To create a new modifier builder to alter item damage distributions, you do the following. Dot distributions. No, not distributions. What am I doing? Modifiers dot item modifier builder dot create item damage modifier. Example. Clickable. This is gonna be modifier builder. Then properties. Yeah, okay. Modifier. I want to change the modifier that was created. Okay, so now that we have that, before we do that, let's create a section for when does modifier apply. Okay. The type of property is a function, but the function arguments depend on what the modifier applies to. Example, for any modifier that modifies an item stack, function will take an item stack as their argument. Regardless of the signature, the function either returns true or false, depending on if I can type. The modifier is applicable to the given thing. How does the modifier apply? Has a Zen property called should reallocate. If set to true, the modifier will reallocate the existing weights of the distribution even if the distribution, regardless, if the distribution needs to add to 100% or not, it applies to, needs to add to 100% or not. Okay. Okay, the existing weights of distribution. And then apply the modifier. We reallocate this to the modifier. Sure, that makes sense. If set to false, the modifier will be applied as a flat bonus. In the instance of a modifier that modifies damage distributions, the damage distribution will be scaled such that the weights all add to 100%. For example, with a 100% slashing damage distribution, applying a non-reallocating 50% radiant bonus modifier, the 50% radiant will be added to the distribution, making it 100% slashing and 50% radiant. It is then scaled to 100% total, giving 66.67% slashing and 33.33% radiant. Basically maintaining the 2-to-1 ratio of the weights. The same modifier with reallocation enabled will reallocate 50% of the slashing weight to the new 50% radiant weight, giving it a final distribution of 50% slashing and 50% radiant. Modifier reallocates evenly. Not proportionally. Reallocating a 50% radiant modifier on a distribution with 10% slashing, 90% piercing will... What will it do? Subtract 25% from each weight, evenly making room for the 50% radiant bonus. Since there's only a 10% slashing weight, the slashing weight is fully removed, and the excess 15% from the 25% that should have been subtracted is evenly subtracted from what remains. In this case, the now 65% slashing. Dropping it to 50% slashing. Or sorry, this is the piercing. And then adding the 50% radiant to the distribution. We gotta add a section for this. Oh my gosh, there's a lot to talk about. This is just the base article. I have to read all the other sub-articles. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be here forever. Modifiers have a priority system to determine the order in which they apply. Sometimes the order matters. And this gives you control over which applies first. Modifiers have a Zen property called priority, which defaults to 0, and higher priority modifiers are applied before lower priority ones. Now I need to know which modifier applies first. I think it's under the API. Yeah. Reallocated modifiers are applied before the non-reallocating modifiers. Okay. Modifiers with the same priority are merged and applied together if they are both applicable. But only if they either both reallocate or both if they either both reallocate or not. See this section below on reallocation versus non-reallocation for modifiers. Note that modifiers with should reallocate being set to true are applied before modifiers with should reallocate set to false. That if the priority is if the priority is equal, modifiers which should reallocate being set to true are applied for modifiers which should reallocate being set to false. Boom. What a thing. Is there anything else? Okay, we got all of this. Okay, I think that's it. We talked about the priority system, how modifiers with the same priority are merged and applied together, but only if they either both reallocate or not. Priority is equal. Note the priority is equal. Note that if the priority is equal, modifiers which should reallocate being set to true or apply before modifiers which should reallocate set to false. And then this whole thing. All right, now we have to write up everything else that you can do with this. Because a couple of properties, the should reallocate the priority, the name. Oh wait, I need to write about this, the set mod. Okay, now we gotta write this section. It's like setting the modifier. To define what the modifier does, you need to set its weights. Wait, did I define? Okay, so the damage distribution does not allow negative weights, right? Yeah. If it allows negative weights, then it returns true. Okay, okay, okay. Alright, so we've got a set mod, IDDD damage type, float, and set mod string float. This is an overloaded Zen method. Note that the version that takes an IDDD damage type, copy link, put this here, only works for built-in types. In general, it's probably safer to use the string version. The string version requires you to specify the internal name of the damage type, which should be all lowercase. Alright, so now we specify the Zen properties. Then property name, type, notes. This is a string. This is the internal name of the modifier. This field gets set to whatever is passed into the static creation Zen method. But it can be changed like a normal Zen property. Setting this to null, and then trying to build the modifier will cause your script to throw an exception. I think I need that. Okay. When does a modifier apply? We just change how to when. Hello, Preston. And Max Tom. Hello, you two. You both arrived at the same time. How's it going? Or roughly at the same time. Not too bad, just finished class. Nice, good, good. Alright, so... Currently, what we're doing is we're, writing a really long wiki article on the stuff that I have, made. This is like 104 or 5. Actually, probably closer to 7 wiki articles I need to write. Yay! It's good. It's just a lot of work. It's like, yay, I think my code is done, right? Right? It's like, I think the code is done. Pretty much. There's like a couple things that I still have left to do. But in terms of the modifier stuff, like, that's done. And that's like a couple of items on my to-do list. So I'm like, let's just get all of that off the to-do list. And there's like 3 things left on the list. Right? Yeah. After I finish the wiki stuff, there's like 3 things left on the to-do list, and then I release 1.7, and then we're good, right? So it's like, let's wait, or let's get this out of the way, and then it's just these things left. But some of the stuff's pretty easy. In fact, most of the, like, 2 of those items are probably close to already done, and there's just like 1 left. So it's basically like, do the wiki, finish up the last couple things, do this one last thing, and then be done. and then pray that it actually all works as intended. Because this has been a lot. And I did a lot of testing, but, you can never be too sure. So, yeah, now where was I? I was here. So after we have this, we have a section on Zen methods. Yeah. We have to talk about the different Zen methods. I think there's only 3 here. I'm gonna have to double check. There is 1, 2, 3. Yep. Okay. Excuse me. There's only 3 Zen methods. Hey, it's always the way. Plus, arguably just means more interesting programming streams. Fair enough. Once this is done, it's like, okay, we can move on to something else now. And I'll be happy to be done with this. Because, my gosh, this has been a big project, but it has made this mod so much better, in my opinion. So it's really cool. It's really cool. But I also just want to be done with it. I want to be done with it now. I want to move on. Maybe that's just how I am today. Maybe tomorrow I'll be like, we could do more. We'll see. Or well, tomorrow's Saturday, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, Z methods. We've got set mod, and it takes an IDDD damage type, which means it takes this in particular. And a float with a semicolon here. Oh, wait, no. This is like this. And then we do this. Like that. Sets the weight, a damage, yeah. Sets the weight of this modifier for this type to the specified amount. See, hello, hi. Hi, Preston. Hope you're doing well today. See, setting the modifier. And copy this. And change this to setting the modifier. Thank you, thank you. Actually, you know what? I should use a drink. I filled this up at the beginning of the stream, and then I forgot to bring it back. I left it in the kitchen. So I was like, oh wait, I gotta go grab this. I know I'm gonna need it. And I was right. Anyway, there's no static Zen methods here. Okay, so that's good. Note this version only works with built-in types. Then there's it's gotta be another line here. Set mod string float sets the weight of this modifier for this type to the specified amount. For the type, represented by the internal name that the string represents. That's a really weird way of saying that. To the specified amount. See this thing. Alright, example. Which of the test scripts do I wish to use for this example? Isn't there another? Yeah, there's that. Okay, we'll use this one. We'll use this one. I need to add a bunch of comments. My lord, okay. An item damage modifier. There we go. Using the item modifier builder. We don't reallocate existing weights. This will add a flat 50% example damage bonus. Note, this is a custom type, so the type must exist. There's a little bit of funniness and a non-code line that says 7-Eleven, insert 7-Eleven pitch link here for the people who look into the code. I mean, there's a like in DDD's code, the mods code, there actually is an Easter egg. There is an Easter egg in the code, technically. No one's gonna find it. No one's gonna find it. I can assure you, no one's gonna find it. It's extremely niche. But there is technically a quote-unquote, with as many air quotes as I can muster, Easter egg. I don't know why I did it. I was just having fun. This will add a what? A flat 50% example. This is a custom type, so the type must exist. Our function to determine if the modifier is applicable. This varies depending on the kind of modifier builder we are using. In this case, this is modifier applicable for item stack and takes an item stack there we go. I think that's good. Well, you know, just like casual. This is a pretty big article. But it's all about having everything being documented. Documentation is important. Because then people can use this. Why I spend multiple weeks, maybe even a month, working on this if no one knows how to use it. You know? Okay. I was just checking into something. This article is done. So now that this article is done, I am going to not do much with it right now. It's done. We're going to start the next article. Item damage modifier dot MD. I basically need to include almost everything in this article because it sort of needs to be a standalone article. So like, I'll need to like describe what it is, the important class stuff. I'll need to have this where I describe that like it depends on which one you're using. Um, I don't need to include the build part though, or this, or this, or this. Well, I might need to include one thing about like if the modifier applies to, or like if the modifier applies to a damage distribution, then it like scales the weights and stuff. I might need to include a little blurb about that. And then the function thing, which I guess is this here. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's not go too intense with this. Let's do this one first. Is modifier applicable for item stack? Is a function type used in ADD's item modifier builder. Oh my gosh, no, don't do that. Whatever you were thinking of doing, don't do that. That was a terrible idea. The function type used in this, it is a function with the following signature. Boolean handle, I item stack. It returns. Are you good? True if the modifier applies to the item stack. To the I item stack. Ah. Nah, if it applies. What do you mean? What is this? Okay. Right. No, I get it. My brain is saying that the Easter egg is in the images folder. Good guess. It is not. Again, Easter egg with as many air quotes as I can muster. Don't expect anything crazy. I should make sure this is item stack. Is modifier applicable for... It's basically the same thing. Is a function type used in... It's used in the projectile one, right? I think it's only used in the projectile one. Yeah, it's only used in the projectile one. Used in DDD's projectile modifier builder. It is a function with the following signature, Boolean, handle entity. It returns true if the modifier applies to the entity, which would be a projectile. Okie doke. I'm gonna make a new one. Is modifier applicable for entity living base dot md for entity living base is a function type. Basically gonna write the same thing. That's not how you spell type though. Used in DDD's mob damage modifier builder. And resistances modifier builder. It is a function with the following signature. I entity living base. It returns true if the modifier applies to the mob. Those were small articles, but they are needed. But now they're out of the way. The item modifier builder is used for creating modifiers that apply to item stacks. It can be used to modify item damage distributions, armor distributions, and shield distributions. Hooray. Alright. I guess we'll go with the importing the class thing now. It may be required to import the class to avoid any errors. Import mods.ddd.modifiers.item modifier builder. He's gone silent. I'm good. I kind of got a little distracted. I'm alright. I'm alright. My brain's saying that the Easter egg is in the images folder. It's not in the images folder. Dude, I lost my train of thought completely. That's why I went silent. I just, whoop, I was gone. Alright. There are 3 static Zen methods you can use depending on which kind of item modifier you're looking to make. Create item damage modifier used for making item damage modifiers. Create armor modifier used for making armor modifiers. Create shield modifier used for making shield modifiers. Note, item damage modifiers will scale the resulting damage distribution to 100% total weight. See the modifier builder section on how the modifier applies. That's much fancy talk for modifier builder. How does the modifier apply? I do gotta make sure I have that linked everywhere. I'm pretty sure. Because, yeah, probably. Oh, wait. Extending modifier builder. That's what I need. That's what I need. Extends modifier builder. They're just enjoying their time. They don't always have to be chatting. You know. It's alright. They're allowed to chill. It's okay. Some people like to be active in chat sometimes. Other people like to just hang out. And that's cool. We like everyone. We appreciate everyone. So don't sweat it. So anything accessible from that Zen class is accessible from item modifier builder. There you go. Okay. Stickers work. Yeah, no, they work. Everything's working. Everything's good. Oh, in this chat, no? Oh. I don't know why. Hmm. Okay. We have this. The next section should probably be just the Zen properties, right? Oh, wait. Uses an is modifier applicable for item stack. Is modifier applicable for item stack. Zen property to determine if the modifier is applicable to the item stack. Then properties. Well, all it has, actually, now that I think about this, it just has the one additional zone property is modifier applicable for item stack. Everything else, well, I mean, this is static send methods, which I already talked about, actually. Well, we need to know that it's called is modifier applicable. Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, okay. Do I need to put this line? I don't need to. I already said that it extends modifier builder, so anything accessible from that Zen class is accessible from item modifier builder, including all Zen properties. We'll add that. Is modifier applicable for item stack? That's the type, which means I have to copy this thing here. This function determines if the modifier is applicable to the given item stack. What the heck did I just do? There we go. No, get rid of that. Determine if the modifier is applicable to the item stack. Okay. The example item damage modifier is going to be, we're going to use this one. Okay, we got that. And then we need the example armor modifier. And now we'll go to the this one. I don't need to include the example shield modifier because it's just the same thing. Okay, this is the projectile modifier. Why did I start the item modifier one? Yep. Use projectile modifier builder is used for altering the damage distributions of projectile modifiers. What? I don't even know what I'm saying. Hold on, I gotta check something. Where did I... It applies to mob damage. I guess it still works. We did make a mob modifier, right? That's a resistance one, though. That's also a resistance one. No, but we did. We did. And it worked. Okay, yeah, that's fine. This is acceptable. I just need to sanity check myself there. But we're good. I didn't even make this a .cs. Or not CS. MD. I'm losing it. You might need to import the class to avoid any errors. Import mods.ddd.modifiers.projectile modifier builder. Now, this thing here and creating a projectile modifier. Yeah, we'll have a thing for that. Use a static create Zen method. Note the modifier will scale the resulting damage distribution 100% total weight. Yep, we just do that. We just put that right there. And then we'll need the modifier function. The modifier function. The projectile modifier builder uses, not with a capital U, an additional Zen property of type is modifier applicable for entity. You're joking. That makes sense. Entity. There's no period there, is there? To determine if the modifier is applicable to the entity. Wow, no kidding. Now we have Zen properties, and then we have examples. Should I have the statics and method section? I should probably have the statics and method section. Is the internal name of the modifier, which must be unique. Internal name of the modifier, which must be unique. And then we have create shield modifier. A new shield modifier. String is the internal name of the modifier, which must be unique. Okay, there we go. You know what I should add here? In version 1.7.0. There we go. After the modifier function, we have Zen properties, static Zen methods, and an example. I also forgot this section here, which is exactly the same here. projectile. Including old sun properties. Okay. Oh, we're getting there. Oh my gosh. Today's just not my day or something. Thank you for your yeeps. You want me to drink and stretch at the same time? Maybe take 5. Uh, it was just one of those days. I just woke up feeling for no reason. Well, I think I figured out why, but there's not too much I can do. I just kind of need to chill out. So I might make this a little bit of a shorter stream. Like, I might end in like half an hour. And just kind of like chill. So basically, ending an hour earlier than, or hour to a half hour earlier than usual. Now, taking 5, I'm not going to be able to come back to it. I know. If I took 5, I'm not going to sit down and do this. I mean, to be fair, this is a day where I didn't get the best start. Well, I had the best start, but then I kind of fucked it up by accident. Which, it happens. I'm not, like, upset or anything. But I understand it happens. And so, combine that with tedious article writing, which I do find to be very tedious. And it's a challenge. So, could I do something else other than wiki article writing? I guess, but I'm also, like, I'm deep in it, so I might as well keep going. So, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna keep going, and then I'll end a little earlier. Because it needs to be done, so it's gonna be a slog no matter what. And that's okay. I understand that, and I accept that. This is an is modifier applicable for entity. And then what did I write for the notes here? This function determines if modifier is applicable to the given. I need the static sum method, and then I need the example. Let's see, we got just the one. Creates a new projectile modifier builder with the internal name specified. Must be unique. Unique. between projectile and mob damage modifiers. It's gonna make no sense why people have to do that, but that's just the way it is. That's the way it's implemented. Freaking deal with it. And that's okay, because it is. So here is the example. Example. And the example I'm going to use here is the same that I used for, well, not the same that I used. I'm going to use this one. Boop. Oh, wait, do this. Yes, this one. The lightning arrow thing. I should probably explain what it does. Okay, I got that. Got the projectile modifier. There's two more. There's the mob damage one, and there's the mob resistances one. And then I'm going to sleep. Not really. It just feels like that. Where'd I put the A? Wait, hold on. Oh, that would be bad. I forgot. If I put the A there, that would be very bad. The link just wouldn't work. Mob damage modifier. Modifier.md. Okay. What's the config option to do that? It's somewhere. It's in the compat, right? Defined items only and or defined entities only. Where am I? Here I am. Modifiers can only apply to things that have a distribution defined in the config if defined items only and slash or defined entities only are true. Set to false will allow modifiers to be applied to items regardless, but may cause some recipe conflicts. To be applied to any entity, even players, modifiers can only apply to things that have a distribution slash resistances defined in the config. Having defined it only set to false will allow modifiers to be applied. Setting defined entities only to false will allow modifiers to be applied to any entity, even players, but could maybe have problems, though highly unlikely. There we go. Important to get that out of the way because that is what we ran into when testing the psychic damage thing, because I had that set. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now we need the importing the class. Importing the class. You might need to import the class to avoid any errors. I sound like a robot. Mob damage modifier builder. We'll use the kenneled one, because it's funny. R2-D2, that you. Look, I can't even attempt to mimic the beeps and bloops that R2-D2 does without it just sounding bad. Also, it's been a while since I've watched any form of Star Wars, so I would not be able to get the exact sequence of bleeps and bloops correct. So, I'm not even gonna attempt. I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. Save it. I'll watch Star Wars when I feel like it. Where was I? Oh yeah, this. My man cow. Alright then, Ben. Uh, Bender that you. No, 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 no. I'm not a coward. I just know what you're all thinking. And saving you the time and calories of typing the message that I already was going to reply to. Saving you calories, alright? After the importing the class, we have the creating, yeah. Calories. Yeah, calories. My man looking out for my caloric intake. No, 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 no. I'm looking out for your caloric output. I could care less about your caloric intake, just your caloric expenditure. That's what I'm looking out for. Let's be specific here. Oh, yeah, I need this extending modifier builder thing. That's how fried my brain is right now. I don't think that's a thing. It came out of my mouth, didn't it? Ergo thing. And half the stuff out of there is cooked. Hey, hey, it's cooked, which means you have to watch what you input from me because it's cooked and caloric intake, you know. The hell am I saying? What am I even talking about, dude? What? My brain is fried. Like, bro. But I do still stand by the caloric expenditure. You know, everyone's worried about how many calories they take in. You know, everyone's always asking about the calories they're taking in. No one's asking about the calories they put out. No one's asking about how you put out. So, you know, doing the world a favor. I think. I hope. Hey man, I think your brain might actually be broken. Well, it don't work. It don't work, dude. It don't work. Um, what was I doing again? Oh yeah. This to create a projectile, but right, yeah. To create a mob damage modifier, use the static create string. Hooray, Zen method. It's not a meme. Are you okay? This is 2 to 3 times normal level of batshit. I like. I like the attempt at censoring yourself. Where you still type the full word, you just put in one asterisk. Oh my gosh. This is not a meme. Are you okay? Like I said, it's one of those days where maybe it's just not my day. I'll be fine. I know I'll be fine, but you know, that's why I'm thinking of just ending a little earlier than usual. Either that or the tedious wiki writing is getting to me. In which case, maybe ending early is probably a good idea because I've actually done a substantial amount, nearly 3 hours of just nonstop wiki writing, which, that's a lot. And a lot of it is very similar because it has to follow a similar structure and style so it can be navigated the same way. So a lot of this is kind of copy paste nonsense because each article has to stand on its own, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it can be a little boring. Why do you think that Scaling Feast, my very first mod, like, doesn't have a complete wiki? Because this shit's boring. I finally caved and did it for DDD because I know it needed it. And Scaling Feast still needs it as well, and at some point I'm gonna be there writing wiki articles for it. But like, my gosh, it's boring. Anyway, can't I just copy this? Internal names of mob damage modifiers are shared with projectile modifiers and must be unique. Bada boom, bada bing. Alright, what do we need? The modifier function. And then we need the Zen properties, and then we need static Zen methods. It's a static Zen method. There's only one. And a Zen property, because there's only, well, I'm going to do Zen properties, because technically there's the inherited Zen properties, but these are the Zen properties unique to this. But there is one static Zen method, and it's create. Anyway. What was I doing? Oh my gosh, bro. There's like nothing, there's no functional gray matter there. Modifier function. Yep. Bring this over here so that I can reference it because I can't remember more than 3 seconds right now. Like goldfish brain. Damage modifier builder uses an additional Zen property of the type is modifier applicable for entity living base. To determine if the modifier is applicable to the entity, to the mob, whatever. Mob. Whatever. Yeah, okay. Zen properties. Make me a table. Then property name, type, notes. Bruh. Is modifier applicable? This is of type this thing. And this function determines if the modifier is applicable for the given entity living base. I guess I'll put a space. Okay, okie dokie. Now we have the static send method, right? Yep. Zern method. No, bad. A new mob damage modifier builder with the specified name as its internal name. Now, the projectile modifier thing, does it say must be unique between, yeah. Must be unique between mob damage modifiers and projectile modifiers. The projectile modifier has the example, right? And the projectile modifier, yeah, it works. Okay. Good. This script causes mobs. No. I wasn't gonna do the in the end one, right? I was gonna do the kenneled one. No, kenneled was for resistances, right? Yeah. Yeah. And the resistance one is like a whole separate article because it's like a little bit more specific. Yeah, so we're just gonna do this one. In the end to do an additional, well, not an additional, to reallocate 25% of their damage as psychic damage. Good for me. Alright, look at that. We got this, we got the projectile modifier, we got the item damage, or it's just item modifier. There is the resistances. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do here. Let's fade through back to this, right? We're doing wiki article stuff, right? This. Modifier builder. Done. item modifier builder. Done. Projectile modifier builder. Done. Mob damage modifier builder. Also done. Is modifier applicable for item stack? Done. Is modifier applicable for entity? Is done. Is modifier applicable for entity living base? Is done. And then we have resistances modifier builder. Or we're done this and this and this and this and this and this and this. We just have the resistances modifier builder left. And then we have to update the wiki on the removed CT resistances methods, and then update the wiki on the removed assign mob resistances event. And then we need the wiki documentation on the creature type flammability toggle. This is done. This is done too. So you see, it's just wiki stuff. Wiki, 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 wiki. This is basically done, though I need to double check. And then it's just this. And then it's just this. So we are actually very close to being done, and that's why there really wasn't many other options other than just working on the wiki, which had to happen eventually. But I think near the end, I kind of got out of my stupor a little, which is good. However, I've written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, these 3 were really small. But I wrote technically 7 wiki articles, so I think that's pretty good for today. We will continue this on Tuesday, I guess. Or maybe I'll finish this thing over the weekend, or I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it right now. That being said, I'm going to thank you all for coming by and saying hi, checking out the stream, just joining me on this adventure. Because it was an adventure. It was an adventure in tedium. That's what it was. But we definitely made some progress, and I am proud of the progress that I managed to make this stream, even if I was kind of out of it. Which is why I'm going to end it early so that I can fix my shit. I was so out of it, I didn't even record the stream, so I'll have to download the VOD off Twitch. Awesome. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming by. I will see you Monday. Alright. Take care, everyone. Bye.